Let me just say a word of introduction to you today. My name is John Rutland. I am a retired elder from the North Alabama Conference. We live in Waynesville. We moved up here 4 years ago. My wife's name is Ginger. She's not able to be here today. She has migraines. We have 2 boys who are grown most days. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I think this could be good for us all in 2 ways. One is I get to preach. I enjoy doing that. The other is you don't ever have to see me again if you don't like me. So I think that we're okay. The epistle reading today is from Hebrews. It is up on the screen for you. This is from the Revised Standard Version. Selected verses there. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it the men of old received divine approval. By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place which he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was to go. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked forward to the city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. By faith Sarah herself received power to conceive even when she was past the age, since she considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore from one man, and him as good as dead, were born descendants as many as the stars of heaven, and as the innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. This is the word of the Lord for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Have you ever heard the phrase, sailing under sealed orders? I'm not Navy, but somebody who was Navy told me that. If you've been in the Navy, you know what it means. What happens is this. There is a ship in dock, anchored down. The captain gets called. He's going to be getting some orders. He's going to be going on a mission. So he makes the ship ready. Every sailor on there goes to his post. Things are tied down. All the supplies are checked. Everything needs to be done is made ready. And they wait. They just sit. Don't know for how long. He knows orders are coming, but they aren't there yet. So he waits. Could be tomorrow. Could be a week. One morning, bright and early, a big black car pulls up beside the ship. A man in uniform gets off. He's carrying an envelope in his hand. He goes up onto the deck, and he tells the sailor, take this to the bridge. That envelope is sealed. When the captain gets it, he knows what it's about. He's about to get the orders. But the way they come, a little bit frustrating. On the outside of that sealed envelope, these words are stamped, sail under sealed orders. And on the outside, there are some coordinates, numbers, and letters written on there. The captain takes it. He knows it's time to go. But guess what? Not all the way. The captain takes a look at the coordinates that are on the outside of the envelope. That tells him where to take the ship and the sailors to a certain port out in the ocean. Not all the way. The whole mission is not known. But they sail out not knowing exactly where they're going except out there. When he gets to that place where the coordinate indicate is the right spot, he stops again. Then he breaks open the envelope and he finds out the rest of the message. It's done for security reasons. Nobody knows. Then he goes out to carry out his mission. He trusts headquarters. That's the way they send them on a mission. This passage that was read from Hebrews, it makes a list of some of the heroes of the faith. Read the whole chapter 11 for yourself sometime. Moses, Abel, Isaiah, Noah, Abraham. It says something about the faith of each one of these people. Every one of them begins by faith. This person did that. By faith, Abraham did this. You remember back in Genesis? Same Abraham. He wasn't called Abraham. Sarah wasn't called Sarah then. You remember? Abram and Sarai. That's who they were. But one day, God came and spoke to Abraham. He told him that he wanted him to go out. He told him he was going to be a father of a whole nation of descendants. That what he was going to do under God's guidance was going to be a blessing to the whole world. And he said, you're going to be given a land. But that's all he told him. There's some strange things in the story of Abraham. He goes back into the house. Picture this. He goes back into the house and he tells, she's still Sarai at the time, Sarah to us, said, God came and spoke to me. Well, yes, she said, what did he say? How would you like to be a fly on the wall and get in on that conversation? He said, well, he told me that I'm going to be the father of a great nation. You make up your own dialogue. He said, what? That means I'm going to be the mother of a great nation? Abraham, have you been in the wineskin again? This is crazy. He said, that's what God said to do. The other things that took place after Abraham went out, we're told he didn't tell him what else was going to happen. God just neglected to tell Abraham that when you go out, there's going to be a time when you're going to be forced into Egypt because of a famine in the land. And he also didn't say, by the way, when you get in Egypt, Pharaoh is going to take your wife. Strange thing. But the important thing is this. God said, go out to a land I will show you. Surely Abraham said, where is that? God didn't say. He just said, your job is just to go. Go in that direction. This is the idea. Abraham would find out where that land was. He would know the rest of the story only after he went out, not before. He didn't get the whole story at that time. God said, you just trust me. You go out. And the scripture said, and Abram went, as the Lord said. Sounded like sailing under sealed orders to you? We probably aren't comfortable with that way of living, are we? Really, what does this have to do with anything? Maybe this. Sounds to me a lot like the nature of the Christian life. We'd like to shape it differently, but that's not usually the way it works out. We are called to move forward in trust and commitment, not knowing everything about everything. We would prefer that way, right? We talk an awful lot in the church about faith, but we prefer certainty. We want to know how it's all going to work out, and especially, what about me? What's going to happen to me? Would Abram have gone out so willingly if God had told him the rest of the story? I don't know. we? Sometimes we approach faith this way. I will do what God says if you'll tell me what I've got to go through to do it. If you'll let me know all that I'm signing up for. Somewhere along the line, the church ought to tell all of us God doesn't work that way, even though we would like for him to do it. Too much of the time we talk about faith, but our language is about the ifs. I would give more to the church if I could be sure that I had enough money left over for everything I want. I would take a strong stand on some issue that is important if I could be guaranteed beforehand that people would not attack me for it. I would come to church every Sunday morning of the year if, and we'd like it in writing, God would reward me for doing that. Inconveniently, that's not the way God works. All of us who commit to walk with Jesus are going under sealed orders. He just doesn't tell us the whole thing. That doesn't keep us from trying to find it out, does it? Some people are making not a bad living at all writing books, telling us what all is going to happen in the future. Don't read them, they'll scare you to death. God says, go that way. We say where? We want to know the why, the how, the what. God said, no, this is about trust. This is not about knowledge. We are not saved by knowledge. We do not become disciples by making sure that it's pleasant for us before we commit to it. Just a thought here. Have you ever noticed that you cannot go somewhere else unless you leave where you are? Isn't that funny? We can't get there unless we leave here. We try to turn it around so it'll work differently, but it doesn't. There are some things we have to leave behind. That's what Abraham had to do. He left his land, Haran. He took his wife, maybe against her will, I don't know. Kicking and screaming maybe. But that's what happens. That's what we call the journey of discipleship is about. Well, men, what did Jesus say to them? He says, I've got an itinerary for you here. I want to show you what's going to happen at every turn. Is that what he said? No. All he said, follow me. Go with me. He didn't tell us where all that would involve. The head, the nose, it may not have gone. He just said, follow me. He still does. We don't control that. We don't make a deal with God. He said, come with me. You got to leave some things behind. What do we need to leave behind to walk with Jesus? It's not comfortable. Maybe our fears. Maybe our greed. Maybe our selfishness. Maybe our prejudices. Jesus has this frustrating way of saying, you can come with me, but you can't bring that with you. You've got to leave that behind. It's a decision. It's a commitment. It is about trust. It is not about knowledge. Are we willing to commit? To trust the one who loves us enough to say, okay, I'll do it your way. As somebody once put it, if you lose to God, you win. If you try it any other way, you don't. To commit to God means to say, this is a blank check. Wherever you tell me to go, I will go. Whatever you tell me to do, I will do it. And if you're saying in the back of your minds, even though it sounds crazy to me, or I don't want to go there, That is what discipleship is about. It is a journey, it is not a destination. We're concerned with arriving. Jesus is concerned with us just going along with him, doing what he did, trying to be like him. To go with Jesus is to sail under sealed orders. Why would anybody ever do that? It's because you trust the one who gave the orders. That is the only way we can grow in discipleship. When we say, okay, whatever it is, wherever it takes me, I will do it your way. Then he can use us. And he will. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, forgive us when we are reluctant. Forgive us when we demand that you tell us everything you know, too. Help us to learn to trust. May our faith consist of going with you, knowing that you will never leave us alone in that journey. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let us again join in singing. The song of response is My Faith Looks Up to Thee, number 452, or it is on the screen.